Welcome to Hammer and Nails with Skip and Allison Bedell.
And here's Skip.
Wait a minute, it's just me? It's not just me.
It's just you.
It's all you guys, too. You're coming back to the Hammer and Nails podcast. Thanks for coming back. We love you guys. I'm Skip Bedell.
I'm Allison Bedell.
And here we are.
What's up, what's up?
We're doing it again.
We have
They haven't thrown us off the internet yet.
Getting close, though.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Getting pretty close. I don't know.
From what I understand, we're about 2 podcasts away.
I'm very cutting edge.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to remind everybody that we have website, hammerandnailspodcast.com. You ever listen to those, I don't know, I have XM radio in the car, and I noticed a lot of these commercials, they repeat themselves over and over and over, and it actually makes sense to me because then you actually get it. Like you remember it. hammerandnailspodcast.com.
Yeah,
hammerandnailspodcast.com.
They say it 17 times.
hammerandnailspodcast.com.
So just in case you weren't listening,
hammerandnailspodcast.com. But you know what it is? Because ever since we switched away from Podcast One, it's like people are writing to me saying, you're not on Podcast One anymore. And it's like, if you were listening to the podcast, you would have heard me say, I don't know, 6 episodes before we left Podcast One, that we have hammerandnailspodcast.com, and there wouldn't have been any mystery.
Straight off the website.
I know, people are like cleaning, or they're driving, or they're working when they listen to us, and...
You know what? I listen to us, like, when I'm doing cardio, like doing treadmill or, like, riding a bike or something like that, because that's, like, the most boring crap in the world, and I hate doing cardio. So I listen to, like, some crazy music when I lift. But when I do the cardio, that's when I listen to our show and I actually catch up on it, because I forget what we talk about. So it's actually kind of cool to hear it.
So I abuse you twice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like if you ever hear a recording of yourself when you sing karaoke and you thought you sounded really good, and then like somebody, oh my god,
it's always bad.
Somebody emails you or texts you like a little video of yourself, and you're like, oh my god.
The first time I did karaoke, I think I was just telling you recently, the first time I did karaoke, the guy used to record them and put them on his website.
Oh, no.
And it was even...
That's not good.
It was so awful. Oh my god.
But what's really crazy is no matter how good you think you sound, you don't.
No, I think our podcast sounds good actually when I listen to it.
Yeah.
And I thought that we also came out really good on Contractor.
We definitely sound way better in comparison than what you would expect to hear when you hear your playback on karaoke.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
When I hear us on the episode, kind of like when we watch us on TV, when we do Catch a Contract, I'm like, that
wasn't so bad.
Came out good.
Yeah.
Because we film it live and we don't rehearse anything.
Yeah.
And then it comes out 2 or 3 months later after they're done, editing and putting it all together for the show and the season and everything. So sometimes it's quite a while between when we actually film the show and when we see it. So it's interesting that when I listen to the podcast, I'm like, man, I wonder what it's going to sound like. And it sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I'm awesome.
I got to say, you sound way better than me. You look better than me, too. It's those giant boobs.
Anyway, what's been going on?
Boobs fix all problems.
I'm ignoring it. What's going on in the world lately this morning? Motherfucker. Come on, dude. Well, also, what's been going on in the world is that this morning I was watching, I think it was the Today Show, Trump was talking about the delegate votes and how he's going to be pretty pissed if he doesn't get the nomination, if he's got the most votes, and how the whole system is really, really flawed.
Right.
I so agree with that. I think I said it before on this podcast too.
Well, the popular vote doesn't matter, evidently.
It doesn't, and it's not the vote of the people. And if all you have to do for evidence of that is look at the Kerry versus Bush, I think it was 2004 election, and Kerry had the popular vote. And so it's like the American people said they wanted him to be president, but yet he wasn't.
It's not the way it works.
It's fucked up.
It's not the way it works.
It's not right.
It's the good old boys.
It's not right. It's a system set up for not for the people. It's about the politicians and them choosing what they want.
Well, being that Trump is, of course, a self-proclaimed not politician, I would say that he's already they're gunning for him already. They don't want him up on the hill. They don't, they don't want him anywhere near
I mean, he might not even be the best choice, but if that's what the people vote for, then that's who it should be.
Yeah.
something really does need to be done with this system.
Well, I mean, yeah, you would think that the popular vote, the people's vote, should be paramount, right?
It's a democracy. That's what that means.
Kind of, I think. Yeah, that's what it's supposed to mean.
Right.
But evidently, that's not what it means.
No. So I'm pretty pissed about that too.
So he outright just came out and said that the system is rigged, the system is corrupt, to quote him, actually. I was listening to it this morning on an early newscast, and they showed a playback of his recent, one of his recent things, and he was like, the system is corrupt, and they're trying to keep me from being president. Like, you know.
Yeah. Well, they are. They are.
Yeah.
You know what? And he has fucked up a little bit along the way with some of his, some of the things he's been saying. I don't know. He's kind of screwing it up for himself with his mouth a little bit.
Yeah, I was watching some political analysts this morning, and they were saying, you know, we're going to see if he can recover from the whole, like the thing with, you know, the women's rights, and they're going to be punished for abortion and all that stuff. That's such a touchy subject, you know, abortion. Everybody wants to, it's like, nobody really wants to talk about it, but it always comes up in election years. It's like, you know, abortion and religious rights, and there's a couple of really sticky issues, but it's big stuff. And if you look at the numbers, the female voters make up a higher percentage than anything.
Yeah, but even isolated from his actual opinion of that, I think the fact that he was dumb enough to say such a thing and didn't have the wherewithal to say, this is a really stupid thing to say when everybody's listening. This is really a hot topic. This is not an intelligent thing to say. I think the fact that he didn't even have that much sense to realize that is very far from cool.
Yeah.
I think
he
that
certainly
is
wouldn't be the
telling.
first to put his foot in his mouth. You know, a lot of politicians do that, and then they backpedal and they're like, "Well, you know, I didn't really mean it that way. It was kind of taken out of context," and you know, they find some way to kind of obscure it a little bit and, like, you know,
he was very clear, though,
unfortunately.
Yeah, he was very clear on that. I mean, I think ultimately he meant that if somebody violates the law, they should be punished.
Yeah,
I think he was saying that if it's illegal and someone does it, they should be punished. I think he was making it that, like, black and white or simple.
Yeah.
But I think that he should have shut the hell up.
Yeah, we had talked about this, I think, a few pods ago, and I think that the clip that you saw was kind of taken out of context in that they didn't show the whole question. They showed his answer, but the whole question was if abortion was made illegal in the United States, if it was against the law, then what do you think should happen? Should there be punishment? And I think he was answering if it's against the law, yeah. So obviously, I mean, you know, you're not going to get the women's vote if you're telling them that they don't have the right to make a choice.
Right.
And
well,
you know, that's been one of the biggest voting issues in, you know, forever. So I think he kind of fell into that trap, but we'll see how it plays out.
Okay. One more thing. What?
I said we'll see how it plays out.
Oh. You know, on our podcast our podcast page on our website, also I wanted to tell you, I had mentioned a couple of episodes ago that there's this pop-up screen that comes up so you can subscribe to the podcast. And on it is now like an actual link instead of a pop-up screen so that you can actually subscribe to the podcast and get it in your inbox every time that we have an episode that is new. So every time, go onto our website, click on that box, subscribe, you put in your email address, it gives you a confirmation, and then every time there's a new episode, you're going to get an email.
So you just do that one time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's easy.
Yeah.
We're trying to streamline this thing and make it as easy as possible for you guys to listen to our podcast. And, you know, we're like catching up with the technology, too. We have a really great internet person and, like, the web designer that's working with us, right? And she's, like, always doing new stuff for us. So this thing is really getting revamped right now. So
yeah, so bear with us.
Yeah.
We also have the PayPal button on there. Now, that PayPal button is on there. So if you guys wanted to give us a paid subscription, because it is a free podcast, we don't have ads, and we don't make any money on this podcast, we have a button where you can help us pay towards the costs of the podcast, which does add up quite a bit. We use up a lot of data. We usually go over an hour. Things add up.
Usually.
Yeah. And so we have been talking about people who have been showing us some love and showing us some support. And I am very humbled to say that both Ralph Gambale and Jeffrey Ritchie are our newest supporters who have shown us love.
Both showing love.
Both showing love.
You guys rock.
And
man.
we love you
guys.
guys.
Are the best. Thank you so much. And we happen to know Ralph, because he's been a fan of the show for a while now. He's a big Adam Carolla fan. And we've seen him at a few different functions.
Yeah.
In fact, he just came out to the show the
home show.
that I spoke at the Hofstra home show just this past weekend.
Yeah.
And I had no idea he was going to show up. And he just kind of pops up. Like we saw him at Lynette Carolla's Mangria tasting last year in New York City. Like just there he was.
And he was also at I didn't remember this, but he was at the Paul Newman.
At the movie premiere.
In California. And we met him there, but I didn't remember that when we met him the second time. I don't remember anybody as it is because we meet so many people. It's like, please. So like names are the word. Like you're lucky if I remember your face because your name I absolutely won't remember.
I totally remember Ralph because he's awesome.
No, he and his wife is very, very nice. He's got a nice little hot.
We met him at the New York Motorcycle Show.
Yeah. Yeah, so thanks for showing up. We really appreciate that. He was funny while we were talking because when we were when he caught us when we were about to leave, we were talking to Stephen Fanuca, who is the host of DIY Network's $1 Million Contractor.
Cool show.
Yeah, we met him a few years ago at the Design on a Dime benefit in New York City. And we have been acquainted with him since then. We've never hung out, but like we've stayed in touch like with online and such. And so he was in the area and he came to the home show to see us.
Yeah, like everybody just popped in that day.
I know.
Like, they must have seen it on social media or whatever that we're going to be there. And like one after the next, they just came, hey, what's going on, man? And like, so many people that we didn't expect to see.
Yeah. So that was a nice visit. And he was hanging out with us talking for a while. And I was really interested in talking to him too because we also talk shop, like about the stuff with the business, on the TV and all that, entertainment. So we're talking to him and we're engaged in a good conversation. And then Ralph came by and I was like, oh my God, Ralph, so we're talking to Ralph. And then like you and Stephen kind of veer off a little bit and you're talking about your thing and your mom is there. So she's kind of like standing there, like not talking to anybody. And I'm talking to Ralph. And so at some point, the four of us, me, Ralph, you, and Stephen, get together again and like standing in a circle. And you and Stephen are talking and I'm trying to listen to that conversation. But then, and Ralph's listening too. And then Ralph started talking to me. So now I look over to him and he's talking to me. And at some point, he stopped himself and said that like he didn't want to keep talking because the other conversation was still going on and he realized like he had interjected, I guess, or took my attention away, which I just
do that all the time. I hate that.
Which I thought was really funny because I always, there are people who do that. Like we have gone out to dinner with other couples. I'm not going to say who, but like where you're having a conversation with somebody and I'm interested in that conversation and I'm listening to it. And then the other person at the table starts talking to me and I'm like thinking, I don't want to pay attention to what you're saying because I'm still over there. Like sometimes it's like, you ever feel like that? Like, it's very awkward. What do you do? Because what do you do if you're engaged in that first conversation, but now you kind of feel obligated for the second one because you don't want to be rude to the person who's speaking directly to you, not to the whole table, but to you.
Right.
What do you do?
I think you have to do like, who was the guy that was in that movie, like, had the crazy eyes and one look one way and one look the other way? Right. Like the Bride of Frankenstein or whatever. What the hell was that movie, man? Remember, like years ago, I forget the name of the actor.
Yeah,
he was
I know
very
the big eyes.
Yeah, you got to do one of those. You kind of have to multitask.
Yeah, and I even said to Ralph, because I wanted to hear what Ralph was saying, but I also wanted to hear what you guys were saying, and so I said to him, "Well, I'm multitasking." Yeah, I was like listening to both. Trying not to be rude to him because I did want to talk to him. It was just, it just reminded me of how many other times, I know certain people who do that all the time and I still haven't figured out yet how to handle it.
Yeah, that happens actually to us a lot because we go to events like that or like, we're at some premiere or red carpet thing or wherever. It could be anywhere, right? And then like, we'll be talking to people and then actually it happened the other day when we were at the show. So you know what's weird about those shows? We walk down the aisles and stuff with all the different vendors and people, and everyone's like, "Oh, got your contractor," and "Hey, what's up, Skip?" "Oh my God, it's Allison," and and it's like you go over and you shake your hand, you say hello, whatever, and you get engaged in a conversation. And then as you're standing there talking to them, someone comes over and, "Hey, man, can we take a picture?" And it's like it's a weird, it's weird, right? It's like it's awkward, kind of, because I just.
Because you want to be nice to everybody.
Yeah, you know me. I want to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's like pulling teeth to get you to like, come on already, let's go, because you get stuck because you're trying to be so nice to everybody. You're like taking forever.
Yeah, Corolla has that problem when he goes places. They actually
he cuts people off way better though.
Yeah,
he cuts it off.
Yeah, he's a lot better at it.
Yes,
he just like turn around and walk away.
Yes,
like I can't. I don't know.
Yeah,
yeah.
So it's very awkward. You know what today is?
It's Tip Tuesday?
It's Tip Tuesday.
Tip Tuesday!
Okay.
So you do have some questions from listeners online, and you also have, do you have a tip in addition?
Wait a second. Today's Tip Tuesday?
Tip Tuesday!
It's Tip Tuesday.
It's Tip Tuesday.
I just like that little sound bite.
It is.
So we're going to have tips. However, we do have a little bit of surprise. Because
we do.
I have been working on this one for a while, and it finally coordinated tonight. And actually, we're running quite a bit late because the cable guy was here because a tree fell down in front of our house before. Yeah.
It was actually Jim Carrey at our door, too.
And if you guys don't know what that is, I'm just doing, you need to watch The Cable Guy. It's the funniest scene in the movie. You're looking at me like you don't know.
No, I totally know. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Medieval times.
No, I'm kind of fascinated how you just did that so well. I'm looking at you like, what? How did that just come out of you?
So
the strangest sounds come out of you sometimes.
I know.
Yeah, like you burp like a giant man.
Yes.
And you make all these crazy sound effects that I had no idea you could even make.
Yeah. Well, you do good voices too.
Yeah, you do a really good police.
Okay, so let me get. I know.
Yeah.
Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway. There is a woman who I became acquainted with online. She is awesome. Our personalities just mesh really well. I had first heard about her website, actually her Instagram, probably about 2 years ago. It was on, I think, Extra or Inside Edition. It was on a television show at night, and they were showing her Instagram because it's called Passenger Shaming. And what it is pictures of airplane passengers being really inappropriate. So she would actually have her own pictures. People would then start sending in their pictures, and she posts these pictures of people being disgusting and inappropriate and animalistic on airplanes. And it got a lot of attention, and she started getting a lot of followers. So at some point, I noticed on Twitter that she was following me, and I was like, oh my God. That Passenger Shaming is following me.
Well,
I was like all flattered.
There's no surprise there because you are constantly, because we travel a lot, and you're constantly taking pictures of people that are doing, messed up stuff on the plane.
I think she might have caught wind of a picture of mine, or I don't know, maybe she's just a fan of the show. I actually never really asked her, but we ended up communicating and talking, and we're friends online now, and we write on Facebook, and we've texted to each other. Yeah. So I have her as a guest this evening on our podcast. She's waiting for our call, and we're going to talk to her. She's had actually a lot of cool things going on as of very, very lately on television, and I want to ask her about that. So I'm really excited to talk to her about that.
And her name is
Sean Kathleen.
Sean Kathleen.
That would be nice if I gave y'all her name.
Yeah, you might have wanted to start out with that.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Hopefully she'll answer the phone.
That'd be funny if she doesn't answer. This is our high-tech phone system.
Very high-tech.
Yeah, we don't have there's no producer getting them on the line.
Hello?
Is this Sean Kathleen?
This is Sean Kathleen.
Hey!
It's Allison and Skip.
You guys sound super familiar. What's up? I'm so excited to talk to you guys.
We're the ones that send you all the crazy pictures.
Hi.
Yeah, right?
Hey.
So I was just talking about what your Instagram account is. And we have so many questions about it, and so many exciting things have been happening to you lately that I wanted to talk to you about, too.
Okay, sure.
So why don't you just start off telling us, how did you get started making that Instagram account?
So I'm a former flight attendant. I was a flight attendant for 7 years, and about 9 years ago, I started a blog called Rants of a Sassy Stew. So it was me ranting. Well, Stu as in stewardess. So it was essentially me ranting about passengers, right? So that was 9 years ago. Oh, and P.S. the ranting portion. That was an homage to Corolla, by the way.
But I was just thinking that as you said it.
He's the king of old rants.
Right, of course. I mean, I've been, following him forever, and this was, close to 10 years ago. And, I thought, oh, God, I got to call it Rants of the Sassy Stew. So I started that blog. I was still flying, of course, at the time as a flight attendant. So instead of, ripping people's heads off and, going fucking nuts, I just would go, run into the back galley and start journaling shit. And then my colleagues started to read it, and they're like, well, this is fun. You should do a blog. Made it a blog, and then cut to about 3 years ago. After getting, numerous photographs, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do, a sister site, if you will. I just did, an offshoot, and I made it, I called it Passenger Shaming, and there you go. So I will say the cool thing is, all of the stories, that I wrote previously in my blog, which is still active, but I felt like people thought I was making that shit up, but now we have photographic evidence.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Were you?
I believe everything.
Were you taking any pictures of, when you were a flight attendant of, some of the crazy stuff that you saw back then, or were you just kind of, writing it down in your journal?
No, I was only journaling it, and then at some point, crew members started to send me photographs. The interesting thing about that is when it started, like I mentioned, it was essentially crew members, and now I would say 95% plus of the photos that I get are from fellow passengers. They're not even from a crew anymore.
Right.
Wow.
Because people don't want to sit next to that guy, on the plane.
Yeah.
So they call him out.
That's awesome.
I think it's really awesome. It's kind of like, what we do on Catch a Contractor. We're calling people out on their shit, and it's like we're putting it out there that, there's somebody that's gonna put you out there and gonna tell everybody what you're doing. So I think it'll make people think twice.
Yes. It definitely holds you accountable. But do you think it changes do you think it changes their behavior? Do you think that people are more in tune to the fact that there are people taking pictures everywhere now, and that maybe makes them think twice about doing something disgusting?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I definitely do. P.S., as Allison knows, I'm a huge fan of Catch a Contractor. So
thank you.
I love what you guys do. So it's like I wouldn't compare what I do to what you guys do, but I'm just saying, I get it because, like you said, with holding people accountable, absolutely. They're like, oh, shit, I could end up on TV.
Right.
But so that's funny you should say that, Allison, because there was, the Los Angeles Times did an article about 2 weeks ago, and they mentioned passenger shaming, and they mentioned that it has the social media aspect, of the shaming, of everything happening on social media is dropped the number of it showed a pretty decent decline in people who are considered unruly passengers, and this is a report from the FAA.
Wow.
So it is working.
Wow.
It says that it fell 43% in the last year.
Now, see, I wouldn't have guessed that because I think that people are as equally disgusting as they always were.
I know, because we don't see it, right? It's hard to tell. But, when you're just in the general public, for us, we still see gross, disgusting people all the time that are acting like idiots.
Totally.
But if evidently it's and I'm not taking credit. I'm just going on what the LA Times article said, and they said, I think they said something like there still may be hope thanks to social media, and then they they mentioned the 43% drop over the last year.
I think you definitely should take some credit for that because obviously you got a big presence in this game. Everybody knows about your site and it's gaining popularity.
Movement.
As we sit here and speak, you're gaining followers by the second.
How many followers do you have on Instagram?
On Instagram, I'm like, I should know because it's funny because after the last few days we got quite a few more. Right now I just looked it up. There are 372,000 on just the Instagram, and I think the Facebook page is probably at 450,000 or something.
Wow.
Close to that. Close to that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
So people get it. You don't have to even fly you don't have to be a flight attendant. You don't have to be, but I think that's what resonated with my original blog with Rants of the Sassy Stew was you don't have to even know it, but if you've worked with the public, you totally get it, you know? So I think that's why that resonated so well. And then now people are, I mean, you see how people act on airplanes. It's a public place, They do it in restaurants. They do it in the store. It's just disturbing. People of Walmart, that's a great place,
There could be a whole other website about pictures of people in Walmart. I mean, it's just endless.
There is. Yeah, there is.
I thought I just invented it. God damn it.
Every time you have a good idea, like somebody's already done it.
I know. I have so many good ideas and inventions. I can't tell you how many things I invented that were already invented.
And then you're like, damn it.
So pissed. I invented that Chi Arc curling iron. Fucking assholes already did it. So pissed.
Yeah, we're like in the store one day. And like, there it is. She's like, wait, I invented that.
That's my idea. Oh.
So I have a question. So, as a flight attendant, you must have seen some of the most heinous offenses that anybody could think of. And I mean, like, can you tell us like what one of the worst offenders that you could remember in your mind? Like, what's the thing that really stands out?
So I stopped flying 2-3 years ago, so it's not, too far back. But I will tell you my favorite story, I don't want to say this is my favorite experience. I should backtrack. But one of the best things stories that I have for that would be, and this is not a joke, and I swear to God, this is completely fucking true. I was working a flight. We were getting ready to land. We had started our initial descent. I was working the front of the cabin. I happened to be in the back because I just done picking up trash and whatever, and we were getting ready to start our descent, or we had just started. And the cabin was black because it was at night. We had the lights turned off, and I start walking towards the front, and I see the dreaded, flashing red light smoke alarm, and I'm like, shit. And, so then, of course, I run to the front, grab a fire extinguisher, the whole thing. Essentially, here's what happened. Guy goes into lavatory. Guy sets hair on fire in lavatory while he's smoking crack cocaine. So there you go.
Oh, my God.
During the flight, we were in the air, and that fucking happened.
Oh, wow.
That was scary. I mean, it was really scary at the time. Now it's funny.
Was it like Michael Jackson hair on fire?
No, you're thinking of Richard Pryor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was it Richard Pryor?
Right.
Yes. Wasn't it correct? That's right. You're so right. Shit, I forgot about that.
I was thinking about the Pepsi thing, but that's right. Richard Pryor.
Oh, right, yeah.
About Richard Pryor. Oh,
yeah. Holy crap.
So, maybe it was Richard Pryor.
Oh, my God.
It was not.
Oh, God.
He wasn't funny, but so he singed the whole, the entire, front right side, it was just singed off. He kind of had, he was really disheveled, and his hair was kind of longer, and it was so disturbing. And this will give you the thought process of how the passengers are. After I go nuts and lose my shit a little bit, and then I got him in the seat. Of course, there wasn't one empty seat on the plane, so had to put him back in the seat, which happened to be right directly in front of my jump seat.
Great.
And we're landing. Well, I would have moved him up there anyway because I needed to watch what was. And I'm a former police officer, and Allison knows that.
Yeah.
But so I kind of went into cop mode for a minute because I was like, "What you doing it?" I didn't know it was crack at the time. I just assumed it was a cigarette. I was pulling the lavatory apart pretty much. Trying to, because that's the worst thing that could freaking happen on a plane. You get there's a fire.
Yeah.
And so luckily that was not the case. And we land. We're taxiing in. Obviously I'm facing him because we sit backwards when we're in the front. And he's asking me. He's like, "So, am I going to make my connection?" And I'm like, "Really?
You're going to make the police connection."
I was like, yeah, the Gray Bar Hotel connection.
Oh, shit.
I'm fucking kidding. No. And then he said something like, "Oh, what, do you think I'm a terrorist?" And I said, "Sir, don't say another word.
Uh-huh.
That's
Wow.
it. I was like, don't say another word. I'm just being nice, giving you a heads up. Shut the fuck up. I didn't say that. Zip it. Quiet.
You wanted to say that, though.
I did want to say that. But,
Oh, my God.
Then, of course, they opened the door once we got to the gate, and all the guys in blue came on and escorted him off, and I don't think it was to his connecting flight.
Oh,
just to
God.
Yeah, I highly doubt it. Was there like a plume of crack smoke that came out of the bathroom when you opened the door?
No, it really wasn't. And honestly, I'm not really, okay, I sound like a really shitty ex-cop. I'm not really familiar with crack, like what it smells like.
Yeah,
or,
ditto.
Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, and I worked in a pretty nice area. And so I didn't know. It didn't smell. I think he had put it out, or I don't know what he had done. But the scent that had taken over was that burnt hair smell.
It's so disgusting, that
That's
burnt
the
hair.
worst smell in the world.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of disgusting, what's the most disgusting thing that you've seen?
For me, it was pretty much shitty diapers everywhere.
Oh, God.
So, and Allison, you're not going to want to hear this because I know your regimen on the aircraft, but listen, don't ever put your hand inside of a seat back pocket. Just don't do it.
Oh,
do
no.
it.
Really? Is that
People,
that's a diaper depot?
okay, Skip, in a million years, where would you ever think to put a dirty diaper into a seat back pocket? I mean, come on. Meanwhile, they're changing said diaper on a tray table that the rest of us eat off of.
Oh, God.
So,
Oh, they don't even take the kid to the bathroom? Are you shit? What? Wait a second. Hold on.
No.
You're talking about changing the kid on the tray table?
Wow.
oh, yeah.
Oh, my
Evidently,
God.
that's like a tray table / diaper.
Oh, that is, that's,
table.
I never even thought about that.
Wow.
Tray table. And you know what? It's funny. I actually posted a photo on Instagram today, and it's a photo of just a picture. You know, the tray table is up and locked, as it would be like when you get on the aircraft to sit down. And somebody took their wet, dirty socks and tucked it into that and hanging it there. So it's a sock hanging, a sock dryer too.
Oh, my God.
the nasty, smelly, wet, sweaty socks.
Now, what kind of cleaning, to what degree is this cleaning that goes on between flights? How thorough is it?
Nothing.
Yeah, because we've waited while the cleaning crew, quotes, is doing their thing on the plane, and I'm thinking like, man, I'm hoping they're completely sanitizing this whole cabin.
No.
Oh God! I wish I could. I can tell you this is how it works. At least where I worked, and I've worked on a couple different airlines. So, and I'm talking domestic, not long haul stuff, international and that sort of thing. But what I did was 4 to 6 flights a day, you know?
God.
So it was brutal. So yeah, it's a really rough gig. So say we left LA and, went to Vegas and we land in Vegas and we deplane, the passengers deplane, and then more than likely maybe 30 minutes later, we're going to board the new passengers, go back to LA or whatever the case is. And so essentially where I worked, and from a lot of the airlines, the flight attendants actually are the people cleaning the plane. We call it tidying because it's a matter of just going through as quickly as you can because being on the ground, no money, right? So and P.S., your flight attendants and pilots do not make money while we're on the ground and boarding the aircraft and all of that good stuff. So they're just as motivated to get to the destination.
What do you mean? They get paid hourly?
Yeah.
Oh, so you guys are actually on the clock, like Wheels Up? Is that like the deal? Like how?
Oh my God!
Well, usually it's not Wheels Up. It's usually once you close the door and the parking brake is released.
Really?
Typically, that's what it is. Yeah.
Oh,
so like when you see the cruise in the airport for 4 hours, in between flights, we don't get paid for that. We don't get paid for the goddamn boarding process, and that is a shit show.
Oh,
what? No. That whole thing where everybody's jamming up the center aisle and being total douches to each other, and you guys have to be the mayor and try to keep people from killing one another.
Yes.
Oh my
And then,
God.
everybody wants a cup of water for a pill, and then you're playing Tetris with the luggage and the overhead bins, and then it's like the whole thing. And don't get me wrong, we are all aware that going in, as with this job, that you don't get paid for that. But I just like to point it out because I think the general public we're not really aware of that.
I never would have known that. No.
Wow.
Right. I think it's kind of important to, like that. And I don't mean like to cut your crew a break necessarily, but just to know that they are just as motivated to get you to, from A to B, because we're not getting paid either. And, we don't want to be stuck on a plane with, 150 people that are pissed off, right? So
Yeah. That's that's the stressful time of the flight. The boarding and the deplaning. That's when everybody wants to get in their seat, and because they've been standing around and they got their carry-on over their shoulder, their fucking
I got
feet
this
hurt,
thing. When
your
we
back
land,
hurts.
nobody is going to keep me from getting into that aisle. As soon as that ding, and you can get up.
She's like a bull, man. It's like ding, and it's like Alice.
Yeah, because I always sit in the middle or by the window.
She climbs over the poor person in the aisle seat and basically just crawls across their lap because they're not.
Some people who sit in the aisle are like those people when you're on the road and you signal because you want to go into another lane and they won't move out of the way. Like it's almost like they're not letting you go to where you're going, and it's like no. I'm not asking your permission to go there. I'm just letting you know that that's where I'm going. Yeah. Same thing with the plane.
Exactly.
It's like you are not in charge of where I go, and I'm going into the aisle, and you can choose to either get out of my way or get the fuck out of my way.
Oh,
exactly.
Yeah,
I hear you.
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out because I know Allison and I know how she travels. So, do you start the preparation? You must have to start because of all your stuff.
Yes. Yes.
You
By the time.
Oh my God.
I'm ready.
She's like the equivalent of like a cross-country backpacker with all.
Yes.
She has all of the ass pillow and the neck pillow and the foot pillow.
Yeah, the foot pillow. That's a good one, actually.
Oh, it's amazing. It helps
like
your back.
Foot pillow idea.
Oh yeah, people.
Exactly.
If they haven't been listening to the podcast, there's a much earlier podcast where I talked about all of the pillows that I have finally narrowed down to the ones that I use: the neck, the ass, and the foot pillow, and they make the trip you can totally tolerate it. Your ass don't hurt. If you got a bad back, that doesn't hurt. I got it all figured out.
I love it. In fact, I remember, I think I posted one of your photos on the Passenger Shaming Instagram page that you posted. I can't remember. It was a while back.
Was it the one with the foot pillow?
Yeah, your legs and the feet. I don't know, but it was.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah. I was showing my kid because that was right after I got my good pillows. Yeah. I remember because my legs were in the picture.
You sent quite a few pictures in, with some of the Piggly Wigglies. And
God, that lady that was sitting next to me with those short, fat legs and those fat feet, and she put those feet up on the back of each armrest in front of her.
No.
Oh, it's so, and they were bare feet.
Hey, fat feet have just as much of a right to be up on the armrest as any other pair of feet.
I don't care that they were fat. I mean, that just
don't be hating on the
that's
fat
just
feet.
a description of the feet.
It's just a bare thing.
It's just the feet.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I don't care if you're fat or skinny or your feet are
being so PC.
in great shape. Don't put them on the goddamn armrest.
Do you find that
on that,
our feet
especially
the worst?
with no socks or anything? Come on, man.
Is that the worst offense? Is that the most common offense that you'd say that you see?
Most common, yeah. And as you know, there's a ton of those photos. And like you were saying, so. Hey, I'm sitting in my seat, and I have my arms, my elbows rested on the armrest, and what's that touching my elbow? Oh, it's a bare foot.
Oh, some funky toe.
What the fuck?
God.
There's a what the fuck for you? Because seriously, no.
Yeah.
How about have you ever been walking down the aisle and doing your, you turn your head to the left and to the right and check and see if anybody needs anything, and then has there been a blanket over a lap with any unusual activity going on underneath?
Skip's doing the jerk off hand gesture right now.
Not really, but I'm going to tell you what, until, this is so disturbing, I kind of want to hold Carolla and some of these other comedians that I've listened to podcasts. I want to say it's Greg Fitzsimmons, and I think it was Fitzsimmons, and they were talking about how they go into the laboratory and jerk off, and it never in a million years crossed my mind. like that. So then I just started like panicking. Like I see a guy go in there with his iPad or a magazine under, and I was like, no. Like you can't hold it for 4 hours. Like, come on.
Wait a second. I never even thought to take the iPad into the bathroom
or a magazine.
Yeah, the bathroom is so nasty. Who wants to bring your computer in there?
How long do you want to be in there for?
Right.
I mean, even if you're going to just take a shit, don't take the paper. Get in and get out.
They do it all the time. They take in the iPads, the newspaper, whatever, and and it's funny. Back to Corolla just real quick, because I had talked to him on his podcast once, and we had that entire conversation about the going to the bathroom and, the passengers who don't flush, because that's one of my biggest pet peeves. And by the way, all I was going to say was that's not water on the floor. So if you want to go in there barefoot and you want to go in there in your socks or whatever, just a heads up.
God.
And then you come back with your socks are soaked with somebody else's pee like a sponge.
Can I tell you what I would actually do with Kilo? Because he was on every single flight with me back and forth to LA.
Yeah.
So of course it's a very long flight, and I'm not going to withhold water from him. So I would have to pee at some point. So what I would do is, when I would go in the bathroom, I would take wads of the toilet paper, toilet seat covers, and put them on the floor, and then I would take wads of hand towels and put that all over the floor. And so it would be like the floor would be entirely covered with the toilet seat cover and the paper towels, and then he would do his little circling thing, and he would pee on it, and I'd get to pick up the whole thing, and I'd toss it in the garbage, and it wouldn't leave a mark at all, and he got to pee, and everything was left clean.
And that's beautiful, because no one would and it doesn't disturb anything, and you're in a private area. There's a photo on the Instagram account, or I don't remember if it's Instagram or the Facebook page, but it's a big dog in the middle of the aisle taking a shit.
Oh, God!
I swear.
Come on, like a full-blown dump right in the aisle?
How do you stop it? You can't. You can't stop it.
No.
Oh, yeah.
And the
It
smell.
was a large dog. It wasn't a Kilo dog. This was like I don't know my breeds very well, but it was like a Rottweiler. It was big.
That's bigger than human shit.
Yeah, that's like a horse shit. Wow. I've had Rottweilers, man. They leave like softball size piles bigger than that.
Oh, God. And who picked it up? You know what I mean? Like,
the owner, because if it was my flight, it would not be me or any of the people.
So wait, like right on the rug? Like right on the...
Yeah, and then what do you do with it? You throw
in the middle. I don't know. They would have to, could you flush it? I don't know. That never happened to me. Like, I'm sure it happened on some of my flights, but nothing like that. When I saw that photo...
Oh, my God.
Trust me, there is stuff you see on there, like... And I only flew for 7 years, and it's funny because I'll get flight attendants or crew members I've been doing 20, 30 years, and they're like, this is stuff you've never seen at all. It's just something new just pops up. It's so crazy.
So what about the very exclusive yet elusive Mile High Club? What can you tell us about that?
Okay, yeah, we were getting there. Yeah, so I was just going to say, I never cared about it. Like, if you're two adults and you want to go in there, P.S., I'm not a member and it's embarrassing, okay? But whatever.
7 years flying, you're not a member?
I know. It's so embarrassing.
But if you do it yourself, like Corolla when he goes in there and spanks it, like, is he technically, like, does that count? I don't know.
I think it might.
If you haven't had an orgasm that high up in the air, you are part of the Mile High Club.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like it has to be two people. I don't know, but I'm with you. I can't remember shit. Now I'm going to hate myself if it wasn't Corolla that did. But I know for sure Fitzsimmons said it might have been them having a conversation together. But regardless, men are going into there and doing it.
Well, then it's
joining their own.
It's club. The Mile High Masturbation Club.
Well, come on now. You can't say it's only men. I would imagine women got to be doing it too.
Okay. No, you're right. No, I believe that. Absolutely. So I don't have a thing about it. Like, it doesn't bother me as long as it's not in public, because there's children and families and adults who don't really care to see that in a public place. So if you want to go head to the bathroom and do it.
But
is there policy in place?
Don't flight attendants keep you from going into the bathroom more than one person?
I've never have.
Huh.
Wow. Oh man, I wish I had you on.
I know. I always thought that they'd try to stop us from going both.
No, just have Skip go in, and then 3 minutes later, just go hang out there, and then just go walk. Have a special knock or something. I just made that up. I don't know.
Wow.
Whatever, and then just go in there.
We tried to do that at a club once, and because there was a VIP bathroom, and they were they would not let us be alone in that bathroom.
Yeah, they were like, no, we can't let you in there. And I'm like, no, but my wife's she's sick. She's not feeling well or something.
Yeah, she has a medical condition I have to help her with.
Yeah.
Oh God! And so they had one person wait in the bathroom while
really,
we're in the
dude?
stall. Really?
That's what you should do. Skip could go in, and then you go a couple, and then if anybody says anything, oh my God, my husband's really sick.
Yeah,
and then,
right,
there you go.
I have to hold his hair back while he throws up.
Yeah. I gotta hold your hair back. Yeah, baby. Hey now. Wow.
Oh,
all right, so
God.
all right, so here we go. For those of you who are wondering, if you can actually do it and get by the flight attendant. So to the best of your knowledge, there's no actual policy in place as far as your job calls for to prevent people from doing that.
I can tell you this, there's no federal aviation regulation for that, and I will tell you this as well, and why I know it would be okay, and because to be honest, our main function is safety, right, as a flight attendant, bottom line.
Yeah.
Comfort and all of that comes secondary. And myself as the former cop and, paramedic and all that fun stuff like that, I was safety Nazi. And that's the job, because I don't want anything to happen to anyone. So right. I will tell you this, in the lavatories, there are not one, but there are two oxygen masks. So, and that's because in case there is a second person in there, you're changing a diaper, your kid's going to the bathroom, whatever the case may be. So, you know what? Safety-wise, I'm going to sign off on it. Go for it. There you go. God forbid something happens.
I like it.
The cabin decompressed, you each have your own mask.
Wow.
You're good to go.
So you are thereby endorsing the people joining the Mile High Club. I like it.
You know what? I will endorse it. I'm not a flight attendant anymore. Fuck it. I don't care.
That's awesome.
I love it.
We have been on some flights where there have been some flight attendant Nazis, and it's almost as if it's just for the power. It's they're really overreacting, and you can tell that they just love the power, because God forbid you say one fucking word back to them. They make you're unruly and you gotta go.
Well, yeah, they can. You could totally be put off the plane
you right
these
the
days.
fuck off for saying fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if somebody said fuck you to me, I would kick them off. But I'm kidding. No, actually, I'm not kidding. I would, but depending on the situation, because that's just not. But I
never said fuck you, but I'm.
No,
yeah.
I know, right? But you can definitely. I've worked with those flight attendants before. It's not a joy. And it's really uncomfortable for the people that have to. Can you imagine, you have to deal with them for a couple hours, and I have to deal with them for 4 days in a row? It's awful. But I've done a lot of that where I walk through the cabin after them, and I'm like, sorry.
That's nice.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
That's nice.
Well, I've worked. I remember one guy in particular who was like that, and we were on the on the beverage cart together, and he made some comment to a passenger as we were going through, with the beverage cart, and I'm literally behind him, sorry, everything. Oh God, it was so awful. And I'm I have 3 more days of this.
I recently had an experience like that. We were flying to Milwaukee, I think it was, right? Right. And so this guy came walking through the cabin, and I think he was about to do his demonstration with the gear and everything. Yeah. And he made a point to come over to me out of everyone on the whole plane and singled me out. And he says, "Sir, do you have your seatbelt on?"
Skip had his jacket on his lap.
Yeah, I was kind of like tired. I was ready to take a nap. Kind of like I put my jacket over me, and I was, just kind of wanted to relax. And he couldn't see my seatbelt, but it wasn't like he walked by a few times and looked at me and then couldn't see it. Like he walked from the front of the plane, came straight to me and said, "Do you have your seatbelt on?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do, of course." And he goes, "Can I see it?"
Yeah, he made him move his jacket.
I'm like, "Really, dude? All right."
You're like, I'm lying.
Yeah, I'm going to lie about having my seatbelt on. Like, what am I, 5?
Exactly. Yeah. That same
Speaking
flight.
Speaking of 5, those are the fun ones too. When you're going through and the child will put the seatbelt on, and the parent says to me as a flight attendant, "Could you?" Essentially saying, "Can you threaten my child until they put it on?" And you're like, "Really? Like, come on! I didn't sign up to scare
discipline
kids and
right.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, discipline. It's your child. Do it. And if they don't, then guess what? You'll have to get another flight when they can do it. It sucks to be in that position, but honestly, yeah, that does happen.
Wow.
But whatever. But yeah, you do deal with flight attendants like that, just like every profession or career, whatever. But I think that some of them do have a little bit of a power trip, and it's kind of ridiculous. But I will say, because obviously I'm going to defend flight attendants to a certain extent, because there are a lot of things that have to happen in that aircraft that are federal aviation regulations and are required for the flight to operate, and it's stuff as basic as every bag needs to be stowed, like under the seat in front of you and in the overhead compartments and the seat belts, and you know what I mean, just like basic stuff that, whatever.
Right.
But, what is it people that don't get about that they put their fucking pocketbooks and jackets in the overhead? What is it about people that they don't get it? That you're supposed to not put it overhead, it's for the suitcases, and then you stuff it over the suitcase afterwards.
Well, then you go to put your luggage up there and there's no room because it's 27 pocketbooks.
Oh, yeah.
You know what you do? Go tell a flight attendant, because that's bullshit. And the thing that really would drive me nuts about that, because that was a huge bone of contention with me, I would repeatedly make the announcement during the boarding process, to the effect of, the overhead bin compartment is reserved for suitcases only. Take your smaller items such as your, pocketbooks, purses, backpacks, etc. Put those under the seat in front of you. Hats, jackets, all of that. After we get this, just give us a few minutes to board and get all the luggage in. So probably then we can lay your coat over it, so it's not wrinkled. Then we can shove a little, backpack in there. But guess what? The main issue with that is it's going to cause a delay for everybody on the plane. And I have a couple good pictures of those too. There's one that somebody sent in a photo. I about died, and it's not, anything gross like feet, but it's an open overhead compartment, a bin, and it's a pair of high heel shoes, like as if they're being displayed in a
store window.
Store. They're in a store window, right? They're just like right there, and then like a hat and something else. That's on the Instagram account. I said, "Oh no!"
Oh
yeah,
God! People are just
like, that's really cute that you think this shit's reserved for you, because I hate.
Yeah. And somebody can't put their suitcase there because of them. No. Oh, my God. I got into it with some lady a couple of flights ago because she had some pocketbook up there. And then I had to put Skip's like putting our suitcases like 2 rows in back of us. Not even in front of us, but in back of us. I was like, oh, no, you don't. You don't go back there to get your luggage. She's supposed to have this under the seat in front of her. I made and I was in a mood that day to begin with.
Oh, yeah.
So it was bad.
You were in bitch mode,
I was so bitched out. And I was.
You know what you just said before? Like, you were like, sorry.
Can I tell you the best part, though? Yeah, the best part of that was that, so she finally got the hint of all my bitching and moaning and complaining, so she took her pocketbook out of there, and then I went to move our suitcase into the spot where her pocketbook was, and it didn't fit.
Yeah.
Because the other suitcases in there were just taking up too much width, so I couldn't get it in there anyway. Even if I wanted to.
I can't with these people. I've had women who I'm walking through the cabin, we're getting ready to, to start taxiing, and they've got like their Louis Vuitton on their lap, right? And I'm like, oh man, I actually have to go underneath the seat. Right? They're like, it's not touching the ground. Like, well, then I guess you're not fucking going. I don't know. If it doesn't fit in the overhead compartment, like, I don't. She's like, well, I'm not putting it on the ground. And then, I did politely explain that, it has to be. It's not like I can just say, okay, we'll let it slide this one time, or whatever. You have to do that, right? Like, that's the only. And I will tell you, FAA is on board. I can get a fine from the FAA if that is not done properly. So you're going to have to follow the regulations, right? And that are mandated by the government.
Well, she's got Louis Vuitton, and she's,
she's special.
She doesn't have to follow all the rules.
Of course. I mean, she obviously does not have to follow those rules.
Right.
She has a Louis Vuitton bag. But, so once she realized that, she legitimately, because she was being such a jerk off about it, and it wasn't a power thing. I just said, look, I even opened the overhead compartments. There's no area that I could find to even, get in there where it was completely full flight, and, so I said, look, this is really your only option. And then I had to get to the point where I said, your only option is either put it on a seat in front of you or maybe catch another flight and hopefully they have room, for you to put your fucking purse in. I don't know what to tell you. So she finally did it, and I got the biggest chuckle because when I walked by, it was underneath the seat in front of her, and she had taken all of the safety information cards and put them out on the floor so her purse was not touching the floor.
I was just thinking that. Okay. What did she line the floor with? Yeah.
She did.
Oh, my God.
I'm like, wow. It's like people lose their minds more over the material items versus their children. You know what I mean? Like, I can't with some of these.
Was she in first class?
No, she was in the back of the plane.
Oh man, you know what would have been awesome? This is total karma move right here. If the chick next to her had the shitty diaper on the tray table, and she's changing her shitty kid's ass on the tray table.
If there is a God, that has happened to her since she was on my aircraft. I will say, if there's a God, hopefully that happened to her.
So would you say that this is a high stress job? It sounds like you all go through quite a the people don't.
Well, she's not doing it anymore. Yeah. How come you're not doing it anymore?
People don't behave well for the most part, right?
It is high stress. There's a lot of training involved. It's 95% safety. It was a good fit for me. I thought it wasn't I want to be a flight attendant. It wasn't a lifelong thing, but Allison is I had been a cop and a paramedic and other shit like that, and it was just a random thing. I always flew, and I was like, that might be a fun gig to try. And it was a random thing. I got the job, whatever. So I will tell you this because I've been asked this before. I'm going to tell you what, being a cop was less stressful than being a flight attendant.
Wow.
I swear.
Wow.
But I had a gun. So, maybe that was part of it.
Right.
How did you give that up?
What?
The gun. What happened to that?
I got married and had babies. It wasn't I did it for maybe about a little less than 6 years. I started at age 21. And, it was great. I was the only girl in the police department, had a blast. I had a bunch of it was like having a bunch of big brothers, taking care of you and stuff. And we had so much fun. But as a flight attendant, it is a rough gig. At least I can only speak for my personal experience in the airlines that I worked for. And I will tell you, I won't talk about where I worked, but it was not Southwest, which is the highest paid, and they love their jobs,
Really?
What? I won't. I don't care where I have to be and when. I don't care if they give me a free ticket. I will never take Southwest.
I know I have to go in that thing. I know.
Not even that. The stress of the whole seating thing with that section A, B, and C, and you got to fight for a seat because you don't have seat assignments. I can't. The stress alone, I can't deal.
I flew on Southwest about 2 weeks ago for essentially my first, I guess it was my first time. I had gone once 20 years ago, so I'm not counting that. But because I never had to commute. Most flight attendants and pilots, they never live at base where they're based. So you actually have to fly to get to work and then start working. I was lucky in that respect because I know there are people that have been flight attendants and pilots 15, 20 years who live, hundreds or 1,000 miles away from where they're based. So there's that added stressor too, because you're not getting on a flight to get to your job to report, unless there's an empty seat on that flight. That's a whole other situation. But so I never really had to non-rev is what we call, like commute on the airline. I just did, for pleasure. So I would, be on my airline. And, so I was on Southwest. I was so confused because I'm used to legacy carriers and, working I wore blue polyester and all that shit, right? So, I wasn't in the aisle, yucking it up and dancing and singing and shit.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, so I was like, wow. And I will tell you, the passengers, at least in my one single experience that was a couple weeks ago, they really knew, because once you fly Southwest and you're a fan of Southwest, that's all you fly, right? And they were like, it was like a well-oiled machine. I was so confused. I had to ask the gate agent, okay, so I'm B, whatever, I don't remember. And then, you stand here after this one line goes through, and then you get in, and then, whatever. So, and I just went straight to the back. I like to be by next to an exit. So I went straight to the back.
You can choose your own
and
seat, right?
Nobody else. Pardon?
You can choose your own seat, right?
Yeah, it's the strangest thing. So I did. And no one was clamoring for the back, evidently. So, I got my seat and everything. And it was a great flight. And it's funny because, when someone will post a photo of, poor behavior on passenger shaming, and some, there's going to be some people Southwest Airlines, and I'm like, actually, that's American Airlines, or no, that's United, or that's what, Southwest isn't a whole lot of them. I hate it.
Oh, wow.
Crazy. It really isn't. There's no one airline that's more than the other, and I think a lot of people just assume, and they don't know because they, someone like me, I can tell what airline and what aircraft it is pretty much from the inside,
from the seats.
Inside.
Yeah.
Right. Seats or the carpet and, whatever. But, and obviously Southwest is pretty distinct with that, tan and the blue, the navy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I can't miss that.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm like, no.
Speaking of United, you just reminded me, what do you think of this, the flight attendant, this chick, it was just a week ago, right, when she jumped out the inflatable raft?
Oh.
What's up with that?
So Skip, do you remember Steven Slater? They called him the JetBlue jumper. Remember, I think it was 2010.
He got charged.
He's a personal friend of mine. So,
wow.
Yeah. So he sets the bar pretty high. And it's funny, obviously not the entire situation is funny, but in his particular case, a passenger had shut a bin, the bin on his head. He was bleeding. They hadn't even left yet. She was calling him horrible names, and it was just a bad situation.
So he snapped pretty much, right? He had enough kind of thing?
Yeah, and he had been a flight attendant he had even worked for TWA. He's my age, but he's been a flight attendant for a very long time. I want to say it was 20-ish years.
Wow.
And he, and I will say this, so, we call it, the last leg, or we call it go-home leg. So, say you're on a 3 or 4 day trip, and it's always whatever happens, and I guarantee this is what happened on United. It's the last leg. It's go-home leg is what we call it. So, you've done 3 or 4 days of flying, and it's just, say in his case, you're in Pittsburgh, and then you just have to fly to JFK, and then you're done, right? And that was his thing. So sometimes you might let stuff kind of slide off the back a little more, because you're just I just want to get home. And that was the case. And he said, hey, halfway in between that flight, I was just I'm done. He had no intention of doing what he did, but she approached him and after they had landed, and it was a bad thing. And so, yes, he ended up grabbing a liquor kit and taking it with him down the slide.
Right.
That was the only thing she didn't do, but I watched the video. So she took, she blew the slide, threw her bag out.
Yeah.
Smart. he did that too. He actually started to go, and he went back and grabbed his bag and threw it down the slide. She threw her bag out, went, and I'm like, you know what? It's kind of like the new Postal Service. People are going to lose it's really high stress, in my opinion.
Well, that's kind of really like why I was asking you that earlier when I'd heard about this, and then I was thinking, when we get you on this interview, I got to know, like, is it because I think that flight attendants, for the most part,
stress. And I remember I was flying that day, the day after Slater did his thing, and I actually happened to be in JFK. I'd overnighted in JFK, so 6 o'clock in the morning, I was on the aircraft with passengers, holding, their New York Post, holding the Post open with him on the front, page, and it said, freaky flyer or whatever, whatever Post, they have crazy headlines. And I will tell you this, it was the best 2 weeks of flying ever. Every passenger was like, "Are you okay? Are you feeling all right?"
Yeah.
They were like, "You doing okay?"
Well, good, because you guys, people, I think, for the most part, don't really treat you all that well. They kind of think that you're the maid, you're there to, serve, obviously.
Flying sucks, the whole experience.
Obviously, it is a service job, but like you said, your priority, number one and above all, is everyone's safety. And all the other stuff that comes along after that is second and third and so on down the line.
They're actually classified as first responders.
Right.
So,
but I think people mistake you for for more like the servant,
Oh, you're right. Oh, you should see when you get some celebrities on there, and you'll get their assistant that's like, "Oh, they don't talk to the help." You ask them.
Are you kidding me?
Oh
my God.
No, I'm not. I wish I were.
Did you ever have
Oh my God.
Oh shit.
That's awesome. Hey, so I was hearing a lot of people talking about that after that woman went down the ramp, and people they were interviewing people, just like people outside the airport, and they're like, what's wrong with her? Why would she do something like that? Like people were going off on her, like, who gives a shit? Why do you care so much? Chill out. That's that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, she's entitled to snap just like anybody else is.
She probably did. It happened.
You can only push people so far. So.
I agree, and I've seen it happen with pilots in the news where they had to remove a pilot in a very similar situation. I don't recall the airline. Obviously, the JetBlue, my friend, and with this woman, it's happened on maybe where they. I've seen, and this is me not giving inside information, in the media where they're talking about, hey, we had to remove this flight attendant who lost her shit, or this pilot who lost his shit, on the ground. And it does, and, you have to think about fatigue is a really, really big issue. I know, within the last couple of years, the pilots have been fighting for our rest rules. I say our, I'm not, obviously, I'm a former, but the rest rules, for pilots and flight attendants, and so it's a really big thing, and that's all, highly regulated. But so, I was doing 6 flights a day sometimes, and that wasn't abnormal,
That's
and then you have 8 hours of rest or 10 hours of rest, and that in that 10 hours of rest, the clock starts 15 minutes after you get off the plane. So imagine. 15 minutes after we land. So that's the deplaning process, right? And then it's walking through the airport, and then it's waiting for the hotel van to pick you up, and then it's driving 30 minutes to the hotel, and then it's checking into your room, and then it's getting undressed, and then I don't know about you guys, but I can't get undressed and lay in bed and be asleep immediately. You have to decompress and whatever. Yeah. And then you have to do it in that 8 hours or 10 hours. Then you have to do the reverse. Right?
Ugh.
So here's something that's interesting.
For a lot of people.
You just schooled me on a couple of different things. I had no idea that you guys don't get paid for the boarding process and that whole period, getting, all of that. And now you're telling me that, all of that. And now you're saying that, but the clock does start on your rest period as you're deplaning?
It's for most places, I believe it's 15 minutes after you park the aircraft. So that's really when you clock in as arriving.
Right.
So if it's 7:45 p.m., it starts at 8 p.m. But that's when you're just maybe getting your bags, if you're lucky, off the plane and start to walk out of the airport. And, you know JFK and you know LAX and you know all these. That could be a silly whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It could be a million. Yeah. And then you have to wait because, you know, we call them, like, as we're leaving the plane, you know, or the captain or whoever, and say, like, we're here. And then sometimes they're delayed and they're picking up other people from at the hotel van. Then you have to, sometimes the hotel is not closed, and it's a nightmare.
So that's all on your rest time.
Correct. And that's why.
Funny how that works, huh?
I know Captain Sully Sullenberger, you know, from the Hudson, Miracle on the Hudson. He spoke in front of Congress. I mean, so he helped a lot with getting that through. The flight attendants are actually right now, they're currently trying to do the same. So to extend the flight, to extend the rest period, because fatigue is a big issue. And that's why I'm saying, like, all those components combined together with people calling you an asshole and treating you like shit, and then you're not sleeping, and, you know, blah, 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 and all this stuff, and people are, you know, acting like crazy people on planes, and then, that's why you're going to, it's going to only get worse. You're going to see people blowing slides and God knows what to get, you know, out of that
well, at least, like, even the stats, you know, like, if your rest time is going to start while you technically could still be on the plane while you're waiting to get to the jetway, then how about you start paying us as soon as we get on the plane and are helping people getting their bags in the overhead? You know what I'm saying? Like, they shouldn't have it both ways. You know what I mean?
I know it's a weird thing too, because, you know, people, you know, when I do explain that to passengers, because I get a lot of trolls on, needless to say, on passenger shaming, like on the Facebook page especially. They're very engaging, which is great because I like to read them, and I have to say most of what people say, you know, about the photos are funnier, you know, than the photos themselves. So that's why I like to read it. But unfortunately, with reading that, and you guys are probably well aware, then you get like haters and trolls and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So when I explain that to them, they're like, "Oh, well, that's actually against the law because, you know, with our work rules in the United States, unfortunately, this is through the railroad union. It's a completely different thing, so people don't understand. And I get that the general public, why would you know that? You wouldn't. But so it's a different, you know, it's under different regulations and laws, and so I honestly, Skip, I don't really see that shit changing like anytime soon because it's been like that forever.
Yikes.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm going to, just to change up the tone, I wanted to bring up something positive. You or your site was on Ellen recently.
Yeah.
I know. Oh my God.
So,
I was pretty excited.
How cool is that?
Did you know that was going to happen?
No, I did not. And, it's funny because, so, passenger shaming is to use Adam's term, like, I don't want to sound like a blowhard. Listen, I swear to God. But it's been on, like, a ton of different media outlets, right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking big ones. So, and I've done them, and then sometimes I'm not, sometimes it's me doing it, sometimes it's not, I guess where I'm going with this is that a lot of times they will contact me, you know, and say, hey, can we use your photos? And so I'm like, oh, you know, that's cool, you know, whatever the case is. So, but this, I had no idea. And that was pretty big. I never even watched the show, but I know everybody, a lot of people do. So that was a big, that was pretty big.
How'd you find out?
News for me.
How'd you find out about it?
Okay, this is going to sound so cute. I was getting a pedicure. and the girl who's been doing I've been going there for many years. Her name's Na. She's Vietnamese. And she just knows, like, I don't even talk about what I do. You know, she just knows, like, I run a website or whatever. And then, so I was, you know, sitting in the chair and I'm scrolling through the Instagram because I actually do read the comments and sometimes I respond to them. And one of the comments said something like, you were just on Ellen. And I was like, what? So I did something on my Facebook page and I said, like, A, I don't watch Ellen. B, like, I'm not even home. Like, and you know, it's syndicated, so it's airs throughout the day. And so I said something to Na, and I said, oh, somebody just said something about Ellen. And I know she knows because I always have the TVs in there. She's like, it's on at 4 o'clock. This was before 4. And she said, it's on 4 o'clock on Channel 4 or whatever. And I said, oh, shit. So then she said, look it up online. And I did, and it was already on her site. They put the little segment. And she did a full 2-minute segment on passenger shaming. I should send her flowers.
You should send her a bill.
Yeah, what?
Right.
You got an awesome. Listen, that's about as good of a plug as you can get.
Yeah,
though.
but it's a plug is great when you're getting money. No. Like if you're getting,
yes,
right?
Yes, you're right.
She used your material for her show that she's getting paid advertising for. So she got your material without paying for it. What are you getting for it?
Well, I'd imagine.
Well, I'm hoping to get ads. I mean, that obviously that translates well for my site and what I do, and that's how I make my money. So every time it's on The View or whatever, the CNN or really more so like the talk shows. So when it's on The View or it's on, like it was on Dr. Oz a couple weeks ago. Don't ask me, that's super random. But weird, like those daytime talk show things.
Right.
Then it'll, you'll see an upswing. And it was funny because I don't really keep track of specific numbers, but this was just this past Friday. And and a few days prior to that, I had done a satellite interview with a morning, a Canadian national morning show, like GMA or the Today Show, but in Canada. And so because of that, I said, you know what, I'm going to take a screenshot of my followers. So I have an idea. I want to see if it, changes. Well, that was 1 week ago today was when I did the Canadian thing. And then as of today, I looked, it's up 14,000 followers.
Oh, my God.
I was going to say, you must have got a big bump.
Ellen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, my God.
She's huge,
That's just
man.
Instagram only. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Wow.
Good for
I'm
you.
not even a fan. I am now.
Good for you.
Oh,
Yeah,
my God.
she's great. And so many people watch her, right?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Do you get, but is this Instagram or the Facebook, are you able to make any money off of this?
Yeah, that's how I make my living now. So I'm a freelance writer, so I do other things and ghostwrite, that sort of thing. But that's the end goal is for this to, be made into something. I don't want to get into the details, but
no, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm glad that you're able to make something off of it then, because, we're just learning this through being in the entertainment industry, that with this whole social media thing, it's so much work, so much to learn everything.
Because nobody, and that's what's funny, I'm not in the entertainment industry, and I'm not an actor or a television personality or anything of that nature. So mine is, different, whereas, yours is like, hey, you have fans to engage with and all of that fun stuff. For me, it came from photo, like a site, and it's just weird, but people like to take the piss, and shit on you, oh wow, that must be really hard. You just do social media. And I'm like,
it's so time consuming. Oh,
yeah.
God.
Thank you. It is, because what if I stop posting right now? I can't. I have to have content constantly, and I have more than one site, so I'm doing 2 Instagrams, 2 Twitters, 2 Facebook pages, and then you just have to keep it moving forward. So I can't imagine, with a television show, that must be rough, because you've got a lot of people.
Hey, not even the television show. I got a full-time job.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I know. I did too until a couple of months ago. I couldn't do it anymore.
Well, good for you that you're able to do what you want to do now. That's awesome.
I really don't want to.
We gotta figure out a way to. We gotta figure out a way to get some of her followers.
She's like, I really don't want to do this. People just keep sending me pictures of feet.
I know, right? But I do. Sometimes I feel shitty about, but then I'm like, you know what? I've been working at this for 9 years, so it's not like an overnight thing. 9 years I've been working on my site, and then I built up, the followers with the Sassy Stew, and then and that did really well, and it still is. It's just going strong, and then branching off into different things such as passenger shaming. which that's 3 years old. I mean, and it's been in the news for, but you know how that stuff goes? Like it ebbs, the ebb and flow, and it's just like up and down. And then, hey, it's the holidays. That's when people will, contact me or be interested because everybody's flying and it's spring break, or somebody posts a ponytail photo from Twitter that goes viral.
Oh yeah, that was all over the place.
Yeah.
And that's why that it happened again a couple weeks ago. I can guarantee that's why that happened. So I think that gentleman.
Right.
I'm thinking I've been posting those for 3 years, but okay, I'll take it.
Right.
I'll take whatever.
Somebody was saying on social media, it'd be a great time to have a pair of scissors.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Could you imagine, like, you get off the plane and your hair is like completely like
cut off?
Would you die?
Oh yeah! Oh my God!
Scissors. They were saying put gum in it. They
were
saying a bunch of stuff.
Because that person does need to learn some lesson. So I don't know if it should be something as heinous as cutting or as disgusting as gum. It should be something, and maybe those things. But I think that person needs like really a good smack of common sense, and it's going to be stuck in their hair.
Good thing she wasn't sitting in front of the guy with a crack torch.
Exactly. Can you imagine? It's so funny, no.
Or a snot rocket. Oh, God, that would have been perfect. Snot rocket.
Oh, God. Yes.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
That's disturbing.
Because you can't even complain. It's not even like that person can say, like, what did you put in my hair? Like, really?
I know. And so many people were saying, like, hey, she probably didn't know it was there.
I was just going to say, she had to know. She had to know.
Thank you. I know, because part of me says there's no way somebody would do that intentionally, but then the other part of me goes, hey, SK, look at all the other fucking photos you post. Those people know they're putting bare feet up there.
Yeah.
They know they're putting shitty diapers, so who knows?
Right,
Oh, God. Oh, what about those freaking kids with their kicky feet? Ugh. I hate those kicky feet kids.
They're kicking you in the back.
I am the lady that, like people usually look at little kids and they smile at them like, hi, so cute. I give all the kids the mean look, like, grrr. I make a face like, you son of a bitch.
Stop kicking my seat, kid.
If they're kicking,
you little bastard.
I'm a mom to 3 lovely daughters, but I'm going to tell you what, hey, do you think they were kicking seats? Absolutely not.
No.
If some little shit behind me is kicking seats, my seat, I will do the, evil eye, turn around and give the eye to the mom, really? Seriously?
Yeah, it's not the kid's fault. They're just being kids. It's the parent that doesn't. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll evil eye them all.
I'm with you, and I'll tell you this on the kid tip. You know what else they do? And I have pictures of this on there. Parents let their kids put stickers all over the inside of the aircraft on the fuselage and draw with markers on the armrest.
Unbelievable.
And I'm like, it's only $115 million. Don't worry about it. We'll get it. It's fine.
Oh,
whatever.
Wow. Yeah, because they're just they don't give a shit. anything to keep that pain in the ass occupied.
Well, just think,
they don't have to clean it up.
The cleaning crew gets to see My Little Pony everywhere. It's like, how cool is that? Smurf stickers.
Imagine? Yeah, I think there's a really strong sense of entitlement with a lot of passengers these days, and I couldn't hang anymore. But it's like, it's like when you're like, hey, you're really not the only passenger on the airplane. You get medical emergencies. We're doing CPR. We're grabbing an AED. We're, with first aid kits running up the aisle, and somebody will try to grab you and say, can I have a Coke? And I'm like, I'm sorry, let me do these compressions for a minute, and then I'll come and get your fucking Coke.
No way.
People don't
Are you
care.
serious?
They don't care.
Wow.
And so it's embarrassing and it's gross that there are people on the planet that act like that.
Wow.
And I do want to say this real quick because it just happened today. USA did a piece on passenger shaming. Foul, or I wish I remember the title, or something, saying if it's good or bad. I don't remember the exact title.
Right.
And the first sentence really pissed me off because the author mentioned something about, the oversized passenger, that's, on your seat and whatever. First of all, I just need to make it crystal clear. We never, ever, ever shame anybody on their weight or their appearance. It's behavior only. So that shit pissed me off. Because we don't. We don't, like, associate passenger shaming with, like, shaming people because they're fat or ugly or what. Come on. Like, give me a break.
Right.
Can
I do it privately, though, with you on text?
Absolutely. You can text it to me all day long. Totally.
Look at this ugly son of a bitch next to me.
That's approved. Yes, that's approved. I just won't post it. But,
imagine the dude that got on the plane next to you that smelled so bad.
Oh, yeah. What did you... I told you about that?
Oh, you had that one guy. Yes.
The stunk.
You told me about that guy, and then you moved, and it was like one seat over, and you're like, I don't really think in between is going to help.
Still didn't help. It was the worst thing I'd ever smelled.
Imagine a 6-hour flight to L.A., and it's like you can't even inhale.
No.
I remember, though, the flight attendant was like, because you were so mortified, he moved you. On JetBlue?
It was on JetBlue. He moved me to business class. Yep.
Yeah. I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
They're not all assholes.
You know what? Because not only, but I think rightfully so, even because it was a bit of torture that I was being forced to submit to. But not only that, I am a Mosaic customer, and I have so many miles. It's like that they have gotten so much money from me flying that I don't think that was really stretching it too far for them to put me in that seat.
It's not.
Yeah, especially when the seat's empty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, flight attendants can't typically, that's not a normal thing that they can do. I don't know how it works on JetBlue, but where I work, you have to be upgraded by, a gate agent. But, if it's a safety issue or like something like that, yes. But I think I had told Allison before, I've had to have passengers removed due to smell. They actually can be removed from the aircraft.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you for telling us and all of our listeners as well, because I was not aware.
Wow.
Yes, they absolutely can. Because if it's not fair to the rest of you, and you're in an enclosed cabin with recirculated air. No, if it's that bad, I just take a little step up front and be like, oh my God, do something about the guy in 7C because I can't even breathe.
Right.
Is there some sort of fart suppression system on these planes? Because I honestly believe people get on the plane and, it's like ding, and, you guys shut the latch on the door and it's like, let the fucking flatulence begin. Right?
It's so true. You know what it is? It's the altitude, and it's actually trapped gas. That's what happens because, like, did you ever have, like, maybe when you're on JetBlue, and, you get a bag of cookies or chips or whatever the case is, and you're in altitude, and how it's, like, completely expanded. The bag is, like, and you have to, like, pop it. Yeah. That's what your body does.
Oh.
So if you have a toothache, like a bad cavity, like, you can get it in your sinuses. That's why people with the ears.
Oh.
And it happens in your digestive system. So you do get trapped gas.
This is good information. But how do you explain it then for Skip the rest of the time when he's not flying?
I'm at full altitude.
Maybe Skip wires a house to have it's at like 8,000 feet at all times. That's my only thought. I don't know.
Check my altimeter.
Oh my God.
I think the inside of the cabin is usually like 8,000 feet. So maybe that's what your house is?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, we're at like sea level. I have no excuses. I just stink. I'd like to blame it on anything but that's really what it is.
Oh, that's so funny. That is so funny.
I have a high protein diet, so a lot of protein shakes.
Yeah.
We all need to wear those masks, like, in Asia. A lot of people wear those for germs and stuff, for pollution. I don't even know. Or maybe, Allison, you might know this. Remember, like, when you're around, when you're around dead people or gross, because I've had to do that, and, you put the Vicks Vapor Rub underneath your nose. Maybe that's really the only other thing I can think of.
Wow.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Oh, wow. We have learned a lot tonight. Thank you so much for telling us all this juicy scoop.
This is great stuff. I had no idea, like all this stuff.
I know. I feel like I learned so much.
I have a much higher level of respect now. Not that I didn't respect you guys already, but I think that people listening to this also will probably learn some things about flight attendants that we didn't know. You guys have a really hard job.
And not only that, I hope that everybody listening also learned something to prevent them from being disgusting on a plane, because people are noticing. So
they are, and it's a movement, like you said. Just act like, and that's like what you're saying. So you already have a level of respect because you're a normal human being. I don't know with morals and values and shit, probably, but it's the other people. I don't get it. And it's not just on airplanes. You go to the restaurant and you go to whatever, and the people have to just bitch and moan about everything.
Yeah.
And with that, here's something else you could teach your listeners. Flight attendants and pilots cannot control the weather or mechanical issues. I know that's weird, but they can't. They can't.
No way.
I know. It's strange. But like that tornado or thunderstorm, I can't move it. Or, I've had people say, can't we just fly around it or through it? I'm like, no. I mean, you can, but I'm going to get off the plane first.
Right.
You're right, yeah.
And, I even have a tip for people because, if some people are thinking, well, I'm not going to leave my shoes on for that long. It's uncomfortable. People, if you feel the need to take your shoes off or even wear flip-flops on the plane, bring a nice, clean pair of socks with you exclusively for the purpose of putting them on your feet while you're on the plane.
Yeah.
That way,
nobody needs to look at your busted hammer toe.
Yes, I do have a lot of good travel tips because, it's like...
And your Funyuns.
What?
I call them Funyuns.
Yeah.
They're not fun.
But yes, it's okay if you have socks on, because when you're in, first class or business class on a lot of carriers, we hand them out. The airlines will even give those to you.
Oh, wow.
Because they want, we want passengers to be comfortable. What's uncomfortable is the guy behind you with their stinky bare feet in your face,
Word.
So, but yeah, if you keep your socks on and your feet are clean and you're comfy, that's great. That's okay.
And we're talking clean socks, because let's not forget about the stanky people who got their nasty dirt, like socks that stink because they're in old sweaty shoes. I'm talking bring a fresh pair. Sometimes socks just isn't enough. You need a clean pair of socks.
There was just a picture just recently I saw of some chick that was had both feet completely, she was in a
like giving birth.
Was like a scissor position. Yeah. Her feet were her legs were completely vertical, almost touching the ceiling above her, and they were both her calves were on the headrest of the guy in front of her.
Wow.
And her feet, you could see them from the back of the plane. They were straight up in the air. And I'm like, really?
Wow. I think it's just endless. It's endless, the things that people will do. And
it's disturbing.
I'm just looking forward to the day when you show the faces.
I do sometimes. It's funny because it's not because I do get that feedback a lot. I just wish you would show faces. It's not shaming if you don't. Unfortunately, not everybody who sends in the photos is able to get the face, but when I do, I show it.
Oh, good.
So there was one I did the other day with a child who was the child was great, right? So it's a kid, like a toddler, and her mother sent me the photo and gave me the backstory, and you see this adorable 4-year-old little girl, sucking her thumb in her seat, and right to the right of her, up along the fuselage, is a big ass foot with a big ass bunion on it.
Oh.
And the mother sent me the photo, but even with that, I didn't feel comfortable showing the baby. So I kind of made it so you couldn't really make out the child. But other than that, if it's kids, I will not show them. I don't shame children. I mean, if they're in the photo.
Right. No, I'm just talking about show the face of the pig.
Women, adults. Absolutely. If I get a photo of their face, you have to scroll through, but there are some in there.
Awesome.
I wish I got more.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I love it. Well, Sean, it has been awesome talking to you. I definitely missed our conversations. It's been a while since we spoke, and I'm so thankful. Thanks for the scoops.
I know. Thank you for everything. I can't wait until this airs so I can tell all the passenger shaming people.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's going to be loading tonight at midnight, so it'll be available after midnight. Oh, and starting all day tomorrow, it'll be up and about. I'm going to be posting it on Facebook and Twitter.
We definitely want
to.
Thank you.
We want to remind all of our listeners.
Thank you very much for listening.
All the time. I'm a huge fan. I've been listening since day one. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Of course I have. And huge fan of the show and everything that you guys do. I like to watch Skip's thing, his little handy shit. I don't know anything about that, but it's
Me
fun.
either.
I don't know.
Well, today is Tip Tuesday. Today's Tip Tuesday. So as soon as we get done talking to you, we're going to get to some tips. And
my tip for the listeners this week is going to be everybody should check out Passenger Shaming because you got an awesome thing going on there and much success to you.
Endless entertainment looking at that thing.
Keep doing your thing. You're doing good things for people out there, and you're calling people out on their shit, which is what we love.
Yeah. We're all about that.
Which is why I love your show. But I appreciate it. Thank you, and I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I can't wait to talk to you again.
All right. Bye-bye.
You have a great night. Bye-bye.
Sean. Bye.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she's great, man.
Wow.
That was really very informative.
Yeah.
I had no idea about half of this. And you can now evidently they don't care if you're doing it in the restroom.
I am shocked and pleased at the same time.
I can't wait to get on another flight with you.
I know we can
I'm
actually
going to bang you the entire time. We're just going to stay in there. We're going to be like that, like when you're online and it's like, really, dude?
Okay.
Like 40 minutes later and the light's still lit up red. Like what? And then when you see it lit up that long, you're like, you know what? I don't even want to go in there now because it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, don't bring the black light.
Oh, God. No, I'm not talking about that. You know when you get behind someone who's been in bed for a really long time and you wonder, it's going to be nasty in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's really no water in the toilet to spray the poopery, although I bring it with me anyway. So I got some questions from listeners.
Oh, cool, because it is Tip Tuesday.
Tip Tuesday!
Okay, so here we go.
Do tell.
When helping people with their homes, they call Skip Bedell.
You want to avoid a headache and save money, he's the man to talk to. Skip Bedell.
Scott Courtney asked about the best method for painting over a black or a dark brown accent wall, both semi-gloss. He wants to put on a lighter accent color, likely something in a blue-gray.
Okay, well, I can tell you this. You're definitely going to want to sand some of the sheen off of that wall because the semi-gloss is going to make it kind of tough for things to stick to it. You're going to want to get a good primer over that and probably a couple of coats. So, especially with the black or really dark base like that color, the color is going to want to bleed through even a good quality primer. Look into Kills. They make a latex. They also make an oil-based primer, which is very, very effective. It's great for hiding all sorts of stains. And, you might have to put a good coat or two or possibly more of primer over that first before you can get your colors. But once you get that good prime base on it, you should have no problem painting any color you want over it.
Whoop, whoop.
There you go.
Okay.
Primer is the key.
Okay. Chris Martin said that his wife and he bought a house in October that had a newly built deck.
Oh.
They need to stain it. They've been waiting for it to warm up a little bit and dry out. They're getting conflicting information about whether or not they need to clean it with a special cleaner fluid before they stain it.
Conflict. Okay, well, a newly built deck, the new deck information is valuable because treating a new deck versus an old deck are two different processes. However, I don't know if we're talking about, a cedar or mahogany. Is it a pressure-treated deck, which is an entirely different situation altogether? Most cases, a lot of decks are made out of pressure-treated lumber because it holds up really well to the elements. It also makes it kind of impervious to all the insects and critters that want to come and eat holes in it like carpenter ants and termites.
I like that word, impervious.
Yeah, and all that good stuff.
You know,
like,
big words.
You like that? I know.
I love it.
You getting turned on by big
I am.
words?
I am.
I got something else for you, too, when we're done. So, if it is, in fact, a PT lumber deck, pressure treated, if you're familiar with the whole womanization process, to use another big fancy word for you, I don't want to get into the whole science behind the womanization, but pressure treating real quickly, basically it's forcing liquid and all of these chemicals into the wood. They put the lumber into a sealed container, kind of like a big vacuum tube, and they increase the pressure along with the chemicals, and it actually forces all the liquid all the way through the lumber. And that's what makes it hold up so well to insects and everything. However, because there's so much liquid and chemical pumped in and forced into all the fibers of this wood, it takes quite a while for it to dry out. So if you're going to be doing any sort of staining or finishing on that pressure-treated deck, you're going to want to let it dry out. They recommend a bare minimum of 4 to 6 weeks after it's installed. And I'm talking about like 4 to 6 weeks of, hot sunny days. You want to really let that wood dry out well, because the stain's not going to want to soak into it. The longer you can wait, the better you are. Now, even with the pressure-treated and along with other types of wood, if it's not pressure-treated, they always recommend on these stains, and you can read the instructions. It's always the best thing to do, because every manufacturer will have their own recommendations on how to set up the wood and condition it, so to speak, to accept their particular stain. Of course, they're trying to push their cleaner and their conditioner and all of that on you. And by the way, it's not such a bad thing to do, because by using the cleaner and also the brightener and conditioner, you will also take off something off the wood, which is called mill glaze. Now, mill glaze, you're probably wondering what the heck that is. Okay. Lumber, when it goes from a tree state through a lumber mill and it gets put through all these giant saws that turn it into pieces of lumber, because the blades are turning at such an incredibly high RPM, what they actually do by creating so much friction and heat going through that wood is that it actually turns all the sap and all the sugar and all the cellulose and all the different things inside that tree into like a waxy material that will lay on the surface of that wood. So if you get a piece of lumber out of your lumber supply or Home Depot or wherever, you can almost see like a waxy sheen on the surface of that. That is going to prevent your stain from soaking into the wood properly. So even if it's brand new lumber, most of the stain manufacturers will always recommend that you use a cleaner first, and then you use a brightener or a neutralizer. And what that'll do is that'll strip off that mill glaze, and that'll give you a nice porous surface that the stain is going to soak into. So I would advise that you do follow those instructions. I'd advise that you let it dry out as long as you possibly can, and then also use all the pre and the conditioners that come along with the stain manufacturer.
Awesome.
There you go.
Awesome.
Hey now. Let's stain something. And I'm not talking about your underwear.
You're gross. What is wrong with you? You were so 6th grade.
Come on, we gotta have some fun once in a while.
That's not fun.
Fun for me.
It's not when I'm doing your laundry.
No, hey, come on, my underwear are clean. I don't care what you say. There's no skid marks.
I will give you that. You are probably the only man on the planet that does not have
I am
skids.
clean, baby.
Yeah, you are.
I thoroughly clean.
Yeah, you're neurotic about it, like
clean
I am.
where the sun don't shine.
Yeah, we're both very neurotic about it.
Go
Jamie,
through a lot of baby wipes in this house.
I don't know why people call them baby wipes still.
Whatever.
Ass wipes.
Okay, well, there you go.
Jamie Jeff Ritchie said he built a small workshop.
Jamie Jack Ritchie. I love that.
Jimmy Jeff.
Oh, Jimmy Jeff.
Jamie Jeff.
Jamie Jeff. Wait, what? Jamie Jeff.
Jamie Jeff is the first name.
Ritchie.
The last name, Ritchie's the last name.
Wow, I love that name. Jamie Jeff Ritchie.
Oh, boy. Billy Joe Jim Bob.
That's awesome.
Okay, well, he built a small workshop recently during a rainy period. T111.
Yeah.
We are currently having dry weather and would love to hurry and get it primed and painted so it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. How long do we need to wait for the T111 to dry out?
Jimmy Jeff Ritchie. You're going to want to let that thing soak in the sun for a little while, just like you heard me giving the tip on the decks. You want to let the lumber air out. Now, the T111, I'm assuming, is not pressure treated.
What is T111?
T111 is textured 111. It's a type of plywood that they run through a saw. It's kind of like a dado setup on a table saw. And if you look at it, it actually has notches cut out of it, usually anywhere from 6 to 8 inches wide. They also make another version that's like 4 inches wide. And it gives the impression that you have a plank siding, wood plank siding on on the structure.
Oh,
when in
I see.
fact it's
Yeah.
actually a 4x8 sheet of plywood.
Cool.
So on each sheet of plywood, you have notches cut into it that make it look like a plank. Okay, so it's a very economical way to side a structure. I've seen people use it on the side of houses, sheds, garages, all sorts of barns. It's a good way to get siding on there, but you have to treat it like any other type of wood, and you have to let it dry out well, especially if it's fresh out the lumber mill. And I would also use a conditioner like we talked about, if you're going to stain it. I'm sorry, did they say you're going to stain it or paint it?
Paint.
Okay.
Primed in paint.
Yeah. So, I definitely give it a couple of weeks after your installation to let it air out. And you can do a moisture test on that. And a good way to do that is you can take some water and put it on the wood. And if it soaks into the wood within like 10, 15 minutes, then the wood is porous enough to receive that paint or whatever it is you're going to put on it. If not, then you might want to let it dry out a little bit longer, especially if you're going to do some pressure washing or anything on like that to clean it up. First off, make sure that you give it enough adequate time to dry. And then like any other good exterior paint, you want to make sure you buy a good quality exterior paint. Spend the extra money because the money always makes sense, especially when it comes to paint. It's like anything else. You get what you pay for. But when it comes to paint, you want it to last. You don't want to have to sand that thing down and scrape it off in a couple of years because the paint didn't adhere right. So spend the extra $20, $30 for the gallon of paint. Get yourself a good quality paint. And if it comes with a built-in primer, great. If not, if you're going to paint it, then get a good quality primer as well.
All right. I have a question that somebody had asked me. I can't find the actual screenshot that I took, but I do remember that the question was somebody asked me about peeling hard-boiled brown eggs. I'm thinking I don't know if they were fresh eggs or not. I don't remember, but I do have some information to share about hard-boiled eggs.
I need to know, is there any difference between the brown eggs and the white eggs as far as cooking and peeling and all that stuff? Because I got to tell you, I eat a ton of eggs.
Yeah.
And one thing I've been noticing about the brown eggs versus the white eggs is that when I crack it and try to put it into the frying pan, so I have a hard time cracking the brown eggs and not getting any little bits of shell to get into the egg. When the white eggs, you can do it almost all the time and you get a clean crack or whatever. Something about the consistency of the brown shell. Now, is that just me or is there something different about the brown shell than the white shell?
I know that the eggs are the same. So I really can't speak to the shell, but I know that the egg is the same.
Okay, so in other words, you're no help to me right now. Okay, all right, thanks. Continue on.
Okay, anyway, so you do not want to boil fresh eggs. First of all, you want them to be like a couple of weeks old, as far as the peeling part goes, because fresher eggs boiled are going to be harder to peel.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. The second thing is that after you boil them, and you're going to do about 13 minutes for large eggs, 11 minutes for like medium or small. After you get done boiling them, you're going to put them into something with ice water. You're going to shock them. And when the eggs get about room temperature, that's when they're going to peel the best. Don't put them in the fridge. Cold eggs don't peel well. Don't do it when they're right out of the hot water. They're going to burn your ass. But peel them when they're room temperature. And don't forget to shock them after you've boiled them. And make sure they're not too fresh.
As I mentioned, I do have a lot of experience with this because I eat a lot of eggs. And I like hard-boiled eggs because they're easy to take with you. You can take a bunch of them in the car or whatever. I have tried all different sorts of tricks with cracking and peeling hard-boiled eggs. And sometimes you get every bit of the shell sticks to the damn egg, and then you go to peel it off, and it peels off half the egg white with it. Very annoying. One thing I found that when I go to crack them, I do it underwater. I run it under the sink as I'm peeling it. And the reason why, the water, once you crack the shell, the water gets in between the shell and the egg, and it kind of like forces the shell off. It helps you, it makes that separation. And the water pressure inside the eggshell will actually push the shell away rather than let it stick to the egg. So I found that helps out a lot, if that's any...
And when you get you ever see when you peel off peel away the white part from the yolk and you see like the yolk looks a little green?
Yeah.
That's because you've overcooked it.
Really?
Yes.
This has been the most informative podcast I've ever had anything to do with. I can't even believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
so stick to the times that I told you before, and it should be just right. I've watched you try to peel eggs sometimes. I find that when you roll them under your hand on the counter to crack the shell into nice pieces, it peels off very nice. It slides right off.
Really?
Yeah. So that's a nice little trick.
You know, there's like a little like foreskin underneath the shell,
Yes.
that little like thin little skin there.
Yes.
Yeah. I think you got to get below that, because if you go to crack the shell and you peel it off of that thing, then you got problems. If you get below that, it's kind of slippery underneath that, and that's why I like to crack it and get some water in there, because the water kind of like, gets between those layers and it separates it.
Just put it in the ice water. You don't need to do all that. Just try it. Just try it. Just saying. Just try it.
All right.
Okay. Do I have any other questions here? Somebody was asking this. Mike Cash. He's back in the dating world after a long relationship. Any tips for finding a good match?
Good luck with that, dude.
So tips for finding a good match is really difficult, obviously, because, there's dating websites and, there's getting set up on blind dates. But what I'm going to tell you about, what the piece of advice I'm going to give is very, very, very valuable. And it's something that it worked for me, and it will work for you if you listen to me and follow these instructions. When you see somebody that you are interested in, go talk to them. Go introduce yourself. Make it happen. Because if you start chickening out and getting shy, and that person doesn't come over to you, you let the opportunity pass by, and then you don't have any opportunity.
And then your friend takes her.
Or whoever, anybody else, or you never see them again. The most important part of meeting somebody is getting the balls up to actually meet that person. Go say hello, start up a conversation, but don't let it pass by. Even if it's in a Home Depot and you're walking past somebody and they look good, you know what? Turn around and start a conversation.
Yeah.
If you leave the store, go back in the store.
There you
Use
go.
our love story as an example.
Good advice.
It's true, though, really, because if you let the moment pass and you see somebody, there's a reason sometimes when you look at somebody and there's that feeling that you get when you look at someone and they look back at you. It might be because of something. Maybe you were together in a previous life. Maybe your two souls had passed and they were supposed to be together. But if you choose to make the conscious choice to keep on walking, you've lost that opportunity to reconnect. Don't lose the opportunity.
Don't lose that love and feeling.
Yeah, really? No.
Just think Tom Cruise.
Okay.
I don't know. Wasn't it in the movie?
Yes, it was in Top Gun. Okay.
The invent of like all these sites now where you could just like swipe left and swipe right. And all, it's really like it's changing the whole game. I mean, obviously that this stuff is all coming along, like way after you and I have already been together, but it's kind of interesting to see what a lot of people that are out in the dating game, the technology.
It blows.
Yes.
It blows, though. When people putting the best picture ever taken of them.
You know what? I've decided that I'm even going to put up with your shit no matter what, because I just don't want to be back out in that, okay? So you kind of have a free pass, because I'm not going anywhere.
Thank you, my love.
Yeah, there you go.
I
can't do that again.
You're not going anywhere, son of a bitch. Okay, with that being said, we haven't done this in a while, I don't think, or maybe we just did one, but I've got a couple of random thoughts.
They're just random thoughts that go through my head.
Allison's brain is working overtime. Could be while she's driving or standing in line. So what is she thinking? What goes through her thoughts? Is it something profound or fucking just pissed her off? You ready for random thoughts? You ready for random thoughts?
How come in toothpaste commercials you never see any toothpaste? People will be brushing their teeth with a completely clean toothbrush.
Am I right? Now pay attention, people, when you watch the next toothpaste commercial. They're brushing their teeth, and you don't see any foam.
Because you
all.
don't want to see like the big foaming dog face.
Like, we all do it. Why? What is the big deal that they don't want to show the toothpaste on the brush in your mouth? What is that? Like, unless I have yet to use a toothpaste that is clear, like that doesn't foam, right?
What, do you
so
actually
they're selling
sit
a
around
product,
and think about these things?
They're selling a product without actually showing people using the product. As a matter of fact, it's to the contrary. They don't want you to see the product being used. It's like they're ashamed of it.
Right. Kind of like when we went into that ice cream store and you couldn't see the ice cream. You could only see the sign.
Ralph's
It
Ices.
tells you the flavors.
I hate you, Ralph's Ices, and your hidden ice cream. Stupid asses. Well, that's all I got.
That's it. We're out of here, whether you like it or not. We got stuff to do. So thanks for coming back. We love you guys.
Well, we're not saying goodbye.
Oh, we're not?
No.
Oh, where are you going?
Well,
we're just like...
Well, I mean, we have to remind people about hammernailspodcast.com. We have to remind them that we have an Amazon banner on our website, that if they click on the Amazon banner and do their shopping on Amazon using our banner, it really helps us out a lot, but it doesn't cost you anything to do it.
Yeah.
We have the banner. We have the subscribe on our website so that you can subscribe to the podcast and get it in your email every time there's a new one.
By the way, the coolest thing about that subscribe set up on our system that we can see, our listeners and how many people are tuning in and how many people are subscribing. It also shows us the name of the people that actually subscribe. And so that's really cool for us because we get like these email alerts and stuff. And then we go on there and look and we see like who it actually was. And we love showing you guys the love back when you show us the love for subscribing. So again, we want to thank you guys for that. That's a big deal.
Thank you. Don't forget there's hammernailspodcast.com. Look at the rest of the website. There's pictures of other stuff and stuff we've been up to. Send us your questions on Facebook and Twitter because as you see, Tip Tuesday is supported by the fans and their questions.
Tip Tuesday!
Absolutely.
We need it. We appreciate it. We love you. Don't forget.
Yeah, man. We'll catch you next time.
Without you, there's no us. Later, Gators.
Bye.
Bye.